Ever walked right past someone you know, like right past them, even though you were looking straight ahead? Or maybe missed a turn you take every day because your brain was just on autopilot.
Happens to the best of us.
It's like our brains are masters of tuning things out, even the important stuff sometimes.
Absolutely. And that's what we're diving into today.
We're tackling motorcycle safety, or more specifically, why motorcycles seem to vanish into thin air sometimes, even when they're right in front of us.
And this isn't just for the bikers out there, no matter what you're driving. This is about understanding how to be safer on the road, period.
We're basing this deep dive on some fascinating research, all about the psychology behind why we see what we see, or don't see, I guess.
Right, like have you ever heard of inattentional blindness?
Rings a bell. Is that the same as the invisible gorilla thing?
That's the one. It's this really wild experiment that shows just how much our brains miss when we're laser focused on something else.
So imagine this. You're watching a video of these two basketball teams passing the ball back and forth. Easy, right? Your only job is to count how many passes the team in white makes.
Sounds simple enough.
Right. But here's the catch. In the middle of all the passing, someone in a full-on gorilla suit just walks right through the middle of the court, stops, thumps their chest like you do, and then just walks off. You cannot miss this, or you'd think you couldn't.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Well, get this half. HALF, the people who watch this video, completely missed the gorilla. Gone.
Just like that, poof.
Because they were so busy counting passes, their brain just deleted the gorilla. 50%. It makes you wonder what else we're all not seeing out there.
It's almost like our brains are kind of hardwired to, like, filter stuff out, you know?
So it's not as simple as like, oh, just pay more attention.
Not even close, unfortunately.
So how does this whole inattentional blindness thing, how's it work in the real world, especially with motorcycles? I mean, they're bigger than a basketball, right?
Think about it. When we're driving, what's our brain looking for? Cars, right? Trucks, pedestrians, those things we expect on the roads.
Yeah, makes sense.
Motorcycles, they're smaller, they move a bit differently, they don't really fit that same mental pattern. So our brain sometimes just glosses over them, especially if you're already concentrating on something else, like, I don't know, changing the radio station or something.
So you could be looking right at a motorcycle and still not really see it.
Bingo. The brain's a funny thing.
Okay, that's kind of unsettling.
Yeah.
So bright colors, flashy gear, that's got to help, right? I mean, make yourself impossible to miss.
You'd think so, right? But it's not always that straightforward.
Really?
Think back to what we were saying about patterns. If something's too far outside the norm, too bright, too flashy, it can actually backfire.
How so?
It's like instead of blending in with the background noise, you become this weird anomaly your brain tries to ignore. Like, have you ever been searching for your keys and you just can't see them even though they're right there? They're too familiar, so your brain just ignores them.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time.
It's like that. Your brain says, that doesn't fit, it must be nothing important, and just skips over it.
So you're almost becoming the gorilla again, just too weird for your brain to process.
Exactly. It's all about how our brains are wired, for better or for worse. And in this case, that wiring can have some pretty big implications for motorcycle safety.
So we spent all this time talking about how our brains can just miss things, even big things like motorcycles, because they're not expecting them. It's a little unnerving to think about, to be honest, for any of us, really, but especially anyone riding out there. So how do we actually ride safely in a world where people might not see us, even when they're looking right at us?
It really comes down to changing your mindset. Instead of thinking, make myself seen, you got to be thinking, assume I'm not seen.
Whoa, okay, that's kind of a big shift.
It is, but it's important. Look, this isn't about blaming drivers. It's about accepting that inattentional blindness is just a thing. It happens. And knowing that can be the difference between a close call and, well, something much worse.
Okay, so I get that. Assume you're invisible. But what does that actually look like on the road? What do you actually do differently?
You got to ride defensively, proactively. Don't count on other people to see you, even if you think you're in the clear.
So more like anticipate that they might not.
Exactly. Think about it like this. Instead of just reacting to traffic, you're always a step ahead. Always have an escape route. Always be scanning for potential problems.
Okay, I like that. Always have an escape route. What else? Like lane position, does that matter?
Huge. Don't hug the shoulder or the center line. Put yourself in a spot where drivers in their lane are most likely to see you. Especially in those blind spots, you know?
Right, because even just a split second of extra visibility could make all the difference.
You got it. And hey, don't forget about your horn.
Oh, right, like not just for emergencies?
Exactly. A quick beep, it's not rude. It's just a way to say, hey, I'm here. Don't forget about me. It can be just enough to snap someone out of that gorilla blindness and avoid a potential accident.
This whole conversation has been a real eye-opener for me. Makes you think twice about just how much we take for granted out there on the road.
Totally. It's not enough to just know the rules. You got to be aware of how our brains work, how easily we can miss things. That's how we all stay safe.
Absolutely. Well said. And to everyone listening, we hope this has given you some things to think about too. Maybe even beyond motorcycles. Like, what are your blind spots in everyday life? What are you not seeing?
Maybe some actual gorillas hiding in plain sight. Who knows?
All right. On that note, we'll leave you to ponder those invisible gorillas. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Ride safe out there, everyone.